One of the most fascinating things for me has always been terrible, or at least rough games with amazing music. If a game is bad, it should have bad music too. Why was this composer dropping their best material for a Sonic game in development now? If you know the game is going to suck, why not save your bangers for the next game? There's almost a weird charm that only cements a bad game in immortal infamy. There's a reason people remember Sonic 06, but not Sonic Dark Brotherhood, despite it releasing more recently. Also, be sure to share any games that didn't quite land with you, aside from an amazing soundtrack. Let's start with what may be the worst and most unknown game I'm going to talk about today. But most of the soundtrack is a jam. The thing is, you'll be listening to these songs on repeat, as long as you are in that dungeon. Battles just shifted to a vocal version. This game looks like it could be good. It's made by one of the Persona character designers, and I see bits of potential. But man, did they blow the execution. This game is painful and bad, and I'm presuming its sequel is only marginally better. I have no desire to play the sequel after playing the original. In my love of the OST, I did find out the sequel has some great music too. They tried to liven up the battle system with something resembling Xenosaga 2's combat, where you launch enemies to shoot for massive damage. But that's it. You just do that every battle and watch the extremely detailed and extremely slow animations that awkwardly continue even after enemies die or the battle ends. It's not just simple and repetitive, it is slow and painful, and feels like the game is glitching. What about side quests? By completing side quests, you can recruit any NPC into your party. But these are the most basic fetch, talk, and kill quests, with minimal story. And the NPCs are just significantly worse versions of your party members. The story is supposed to be nuanced and about social dysfunctions. But this might be the worst translated game I've ever played, and is only mildly entertaining in an ironic sense. If the music, character designs, or premise intrigue you, watch the anime adaptation. There actually are attempts to translate some of the complexity, and it makes so much more sense. There is a strong premise, the game just blew. I kind of teased Sonic 06, and it's more Sonic 06 just has maybe the best Sonic song, and the rest is business as usual Sonic music. Well, besides the cover of Flashman. I also don't think I need to say anything about how bad the game is. Now, Sonic Forces. I don't know why it's bad. I've only played one Sonic game besides Sonic R, but everybody I know who plays Sonic hates this game, except for the music. That being said, I'm familiar with Sonic music because I'm interested in good video game music. Good music in general, including games. The music is consistently pumping out A and S tier songs. I think it's safe to say this is the second best Sonic soundtrack. The final Sonic game, Sonic Frontiers, the one I played, isn't bad, it's just rough. You fall through the floor or rails a lot, and things break. But man, is the soundtrack amazing. After I finished Frontiers, I went through the OST to listen to all of the songs on their own. You have the endearingly campy Screamo boss themes, the cyber levels are consistent earworms. Even the island themes, the weakest songs, are still pretty good. If outsiders to Final Fantasy know one thing about 13, it is that the battle music is god tier. This is the last game I haven't actually played, because I wasn't into Final Fantasy until I'd heard how terrible it was for like a decade. It sounds bad, but the music sounds good. When I first played MegaMan X5, I would have called it a good game, but every time I play it, I like it significantly less. It suffers from overscripting that drags levels down and makes replays painful. The level design is a big step down in blandness, or instant death spam, and the hidden item puzzles are obtuse. Then on top of that, you have a time limit and weird mechanics that level up bosses. But this game also gave us X vs. Zero, the Zero Space themes, and the intro song. The Maverick themes are also pretty good. I actually really like X6, but I'm very aware it is rough. The level design is more interesting by leaning hard into Kaizo, spike, and pit traps. Like X5, I hate Blaze Heatnix's stage more every time I play it. And the nightmare hazards annoy me more than spice up the difficulty now. How is a soundtrack this consistently amazing though? You have the intro song again, which is actually sung by X. Gate stages, Blaze Heatnix's, and Infinity Minginian. Gunvolt suffers from X5 syndrome for me, except I only have to think about it or play another Inti Creates game to sour further. The in-level gameplay is strange, but alright. Far too intense for all the talking though. I really hate the scratch your card mechanic to get items from bosses. The way Inti Creates handles stories irritates me so much too. It's predictable there is going to be some insane plot twist that wasn't set up, and there is a good chance they will eventually retcon the twist away without any explanation. How can you have music and character designs this good and ruin it with that kind of shallow storytelling and transient continuity? How am I supposed to stay invested when they overuse shock deaths and trauma that are retconned away so they can do them again? This game isn't so much bad as perfect for a very niche audience, and anyone else will hate or be mixed on it, me being the latter. While most who have currently played it like it, if you convinced everyone who hasn't, I guarantee you the game would get a bad reputation fast. The combat is pretty solid apart from being a little easy, aside from some bosses. Since you are likely to prioritize making your hero an overpowered physical fighter and leaving your spirits to do magic, then by that point, why bother putting much magic on your guy? This is a game with few text boxes, leading to major characters seeming to act randomly. If you engage with supplemental material outside the game makes significantly more sense, but that's an unreasonable expectation for most people. The issue that will poison this game for most is it is the definition of a guide game, often leaving you with no goals or direction on where to go next, and a big world to wander, only making you even more overpowered if you refuse to find a guide. There's a midpoint between being handholdy and giving players nothing. This is probably on people who recommended it as a morally challenging game, but two of the routes are just what I've always gotten the impression are near universally considered the two worst hypothetical dystopias. Who is actually out here thinking living in a personal fantasy world has an upside for anyone, or that removing humans from the planet would be an improvement? Even rule by the powerful is infinitely more utopian, but I'm pretty sure most people would consider the teacher ending the best option, even if it just creates a time loop. 2, arguably 3, of the 5 routes are just ridiculously bad ending paths you only pick for memes. Oh, also sometimes bosses just spawn in the middle of empty hallways, which is certainly a choice. People hate Zelda 2 for many reasons. It is brutally difficult, and mercilessly punishing. It's more cryptic than the first game, down to the combat system being much more complicated. Then it looks to the point many people think it is random, and you just have to mash until you win. The biggest sin though? You have to get to max level to reach the final dungeon, which means 100%ing the hidden collectibles or doing lots of grinding. I kinda liked the game up until that point. It has interesting ideas and quite a few catchy songs like the Palace theme. Just imagine a Metroid game that requires you to find every energy tank and missile upgrade.
Those guys always played the world like they really meant it. They communicated with people like they really meant it. They're good guys. They really are.
If you ask me, this is a trilogy or quadology that should have been trimmed down to fit into one game. The story would be tight and perfect, the side quests would be strong. Instead, they stretched it as thin as they could. Or maybe that's just me because I hate MMOs, and this is heavily simplified one-player MMO combat, through long, samey dungeons that feel copy-pasted. Again, this series is something I'm more mixed on because of how rough the experience is. The story and cast are fairly strong if you stick through it, though. Under all the filler, I can see a lot of love and passion. You can find links in the description for YouTube playlists relating to these games. I'll leave finding the Caligula Effect anime to you, though. As always, liking and sharing this video with your friends always helps.
Haseo?
Aina.
My brother really loved the world. So,